this one just kind of epitomized the season in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, this was a 40-minute microcosm of what we've been, who we've been. Certainly good enough to come back from 20 down and take a lead in the last minute. Also, at times, maybe a lack of urgency or awareness that you could be down that much in a game where, it's pretty clear. I mean, when we lose here, it's over. And but with all that said, I'm really proud. I mean, I'm not sure I've ever been more proud of a team, and I've coached with, played on some really, really successful teams. It's maybe hard to understand how you could be so proud of 12 and 20 season, but it's really just the way the kids represented our program, me in some ways. But this is a season that we all will remember, but also learn from.
We asked the players the same question. What have you kind of learned about yourself this year?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure I have a great answer for that. I have to kind of go back and figure out how to get better at some things for sure. But maybe management, manage some crisis, communication, and maybe trying to be able to keep guys motivated through some difficult circumstances, I would say. Those are things that come to my mind immediately. But I've got to get better. I've got to get better as a coach. Everything starts with me and trickles down from there. So just like I'm going to challenge everybody on our team to be better before the season starts, I'm going to challenge myself to do the same thing.
You guys have had a lot of individual success, whether it's with the blocks or Thomas with the threes. What about that do you think hasn't translated into the win column?
We don't have a ton of talent. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. We've got good players. Love all these kids. We obviously don't have a ton of depth, and we're not the type of team that can withstand one or two guys not having a good game. And we've had several of those where maybe it's one guy's off shooting or free throws or rebound or turnovers that kind of keep us from being in. Because we're a team. When we've had success, we've had multiple guys play really well. And today we had Lindy was pretty good the whole game. Yor picked it up there in the second half. We didn't have enough other guys consistent throughout the game.
How impressed are you by Lindy's growth and development from start to end of the season?
Man, it's been a joy to watch. We recruited Lindy when we were at Stephen F. Austin. So I watched him as a high school rising senior the summer before his senior high school, and then he goes into his senior year, and we're at Stephen F. at the time, and he signs here, and I'm like, well, it's going to be a really good 4-year Big 12 player. Didn't have the opportunity to coach him and see it firsthand. He's really, really smart. That's the first thing that helps him with the game, because he's a good athlete, but he's not an exceptional, like an elite athlete. But he knows how to make other guys better. He knows how to make the game easier for other players, and man, he certainly made the season a lot more manageable because I could put him in so many different spots on the floor. So he's a kid that we're excited about getting back and figuring out how to make this last season of his the most successful one yet.
You guys ended last season with a lot of momentum on the court. Obviously, the roster changes and all that really affected it. This year, it seems like the roster is going to be pretty cohesive. How do you go about kind of maintaining the way this year ended?
Cohesive, I don't know if that's the word.
I mean, like the seven,
Yeah, we'll have a lot of new faces again. I mean, that's the reality. But I told these guys, you hear a lot of talk about the future. Big part of the future is here already. And so I want these guys to know that we need all of them to take some ownership in whatever steps we're going to make next year. That means more commitment to the film room, more commitment to the weight room, more commitment to the gym. And then we have to be better communicating on the court in the moment. And it's something we struggle with throughout the year.
You've been a senior, kind of desperate to reach the NCAA tournament as a player. And those three guys obviously are looking for their first tournament success. Do you think that's something that could also help propel that kind of urgency with them?
Yeah, it's something we'll talk about for sure. And I always want, we didn't have any this year, but I always want our seniors to have the best experience because there's absolutely nothing like this. There's nothing like it. I mean, guys who go, I know a lot of guys who play in the NBA, and they make a lot of money. They don't get this experience. There's not this connection to each other that you find in a professional level. So I want those guys to maximize the enjoyment. They deserve to have a really good season, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that happens.
Probably a hard question to answer right now, but is there kind of a lasting picture of this team that you'll always remember?
Lasting picture? Yeah, I'm not sure. It was really, a week ago today. We're really happy leaving Waco, and those are the moments I'll take. I mean, no one expected us to go in there and win. Lindy's flurry of threes at the end of the Tech game, even though you fall short. All things that'll kind of stick with me. But also, and I pointed out, Tanner, and D, and Cade, and JK, and Gabe, and Connor, and Leif, who weren't able to travel. Those kids were invaluable for us having a chance to finish the season. So those kids deserve a lot of credit. And again, I don't know what the future holds for them within our program. There's roster limits, right? I don't know if I can keep 17 guys or 7 walk-ons if we get back to 13 scholarships. So I'm really, really thankful that they sacrificed their time, made a commitment to giving us a chance to have some sort of success, whatever that was, the rest of the season. So I'll think about them as much as anybody.
The final shot for you guys offensively, is that just kind of put the ball in Lindy's hands and try to get him in a spot where he can make a play?
Yeah, we tried to get him downhill on a drive. Told him if he can get it to the paint and get it there, and maybe try to get fouled. They did a pretty good job defending. He shot a good shot. It was overhand, and we wanted to shoot it early enough that we could get a rebound, if not foul. Again, microcosm of the season, ball bounces and stays in the air longer than normal, and it goes within about 2 inches from your getting it. So you lose probably another half a second off the clock. But we got what we wanted there. We got Lindy driving aggressively downhill. Shot just didn't go.
How will you spend Selection Sunday? Will you ingest it all, or will you kind of?
I mean, it's not a whole lot to watch in terms of expectation. I got some buddies who I'll be communicating with. But I won't be dialed in completely. I'll be probably recruiting, but I'll be mindful of what's going on, and I'll be cheering for a bunch of really good friends.
You guys left Kansas City last year thinking you've done enough. This year you're not going to get in. But is there almost a ability to be more proud of this team with the way they just performed?
In some ways, yeah. In some ways, because I think both teams, in a lot of ways, maximized what they were capable of doing from a physical standpoint. Certainly, there are moments that you wish you had back, right? If Lindy realizes he's wide open a week ago against Kansas, instead of a half a second later realizing that, if we don't get an intentional foul called against us in game 1, and probably start off 1-0 instead of 1-1. Just things like that, a little bit out of our control. But I'm really proud of what they did, because what they did is not easy to do. I'm just telling you, I've been around a lot of teams. I'm not sure in the 15 years how many of the teams that I've coached could have dealt with this the way they did. And so for that, I tip my hat to them. And I'm inspired to go back and work harder for them and try to be better next year.
What do you think it was that allowed them to not quit?
Well, I'll certainly give credit to my staff. I think they were a big part of it, keeping the kids motivated and focused on the right things and not distracted by the outside noise. I think our captains did a good job of kind of setting the tone in practice for our young guys, because they don't know any better. To them, they might have thought that this was normal. They never been around it, and I certainly didn't want them to get that impression. But I'm just a really proud coach. I'm really fortunate that I had the opportunity to coach them. I'm really fortunate that I've got a really good staff who can handle things like that coming up. And again, I watch this game, unfortunately, and then move on and try to get better.